Hello, awesome people. I hope that you are having an amazing day today. So today I want to take a look at my top 10 superhero films from 2010 to 2019. This is a sequel to the previous ones that I've been doing for you folks. As a reminder, basically the concepts here is that I try to go over the things I typically care about with my channel, with its title. And the worst thing about new books is that I try to follow older horror and science fiction and fantasy things. And since the superhero genre regularly intersects with two or three of those, and it's filmmaking like Guardians of the Galaxy or Iron Man, they're going to be right and so forth. And so I decided to do this and such. If you like this, tomorrow hit the subscribe button because I'm going to be doing my serial Saturday around the Crimson Ghost for you folks, which is a super villain from the 44th, but there's not really a true superhero and such, but it's definitely a fun thing for you folks. All right, so let's get started with my list. All right, and this is again a sequel to the two ones I did. I've also done all the ones for horror I did and such, and I broke them down by decades and science fiction and fantasy too. So now I figured I'd do my superhero ones. The previous one was a great 10 films long and so forth, top 10 easy. But the previous one from the 21st century, I had to do it 21st century because of how hard it was to find good quality stuff. It was a top 5 with a few honorable mentions. But here you're having some strong stuff. Absolutely, classics and classic. This is the golden era of the superhero film, right? To my mind. So there's a ton of honorable mentions as a result. Hey, now as a reminder, these are spoilers. So please, I'm not going to give spoilers to things, and please do not give spoilers in your comments below. Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, so let's get started. Number 9, honorable mention number 1. For you folks, so 4 is The Dark Knight Rises by Christopher Nolan. I feel like because Heath Ledger died after Batman 2, they couldn't make a sequel to Batman 2, The Dark Knight. They had to go more with a sequel to the first film instead. And sort of, he wasn't a character concept and such. And I feel like that, I think that he tried to do the best he could, so I can't blame him. Right. But I just don't feel that he stuck the landing as much as it could have. The first two, absolute classics, hit very high in my previous list, but this one just doesn't have the same, je ne sais quoi, if you will, and that's why it's hitting back here. It made money, right? I think he did the best he could under the circumstances, so I can't blame the guy. But it's back here at the 14th spot. The first honorable mention for those reasons. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy by James Gunn. I think that James Gunn tries, and I think he mostly succeeds. I think a lot of films that came later will try to copy his formula. He tries to be the Joss Whedon, like the Avengers, and that tries to be the fun, that didn't take itself too seriously, made a lot of money out of nowhere, right, and so forth. But I think that at the end, it fails. Again, no spoilers, but the endings don't feel like he's taking the concept seriously, and the characters and their development in the film seriously, if that makes sense. Now, the second film, I think is a much better film overall in some ways, but it's worse in other ways and such. So that's Guardians of the Galaxy, hitting here at the 12th spot, at the honorable mention number 2. I'm sorry, the 13th spot, rather. Honorable mention number 2, if you will. So at honorable mention number 3 and number 12 overall. It's basically, again, the Avengers, which I just alluded to with Joss Whedon. Basically, the idea here is that he really tried to make this fun, not take itself too seriously, kind of like Buffy and so forth. And he made a lot of money. The idea of combining a bunch of characters that had previously existed in concepts into a team up and so forth made a lot of sense, made a lot of money. Really brought a lot of fans to the seats of these different franchises and such. And the idea here, I think, other people tried to make the Marvels and the MCU work badly in the wrong orders and such. They would make the Avengers first rather than to build up to it, right, and so forth. So it's great stuff. But overall, for those reasons, I think that it's back here in my honorable mention. The next honorable mention and the last honorable mention, number 11, is Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's the first one. And so forth. It's the great classic, in my opinion. It puts him back on the map in a major way that the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 sort of forgot about by casting a guy and having a guy as Peter Parker being somebody who actually isn't just the local guy next door and the nerd like Tobey Maguire, but somebody different. right? And they forgot that and such. When they moved away from that. Who is Peter Parker? He's just a guy, right? He's just a guy next door, right? That's supposed to be the concept and such. So anyway, that's basically what's happening with this in Homecoming. It's great stuff. Love it lots. I think the ending's great. I think it's some fun stuff. But it can sometimes feel like the Iron Man movie rather than the Spider-Man movie. It's fine. It's not but I feel that it's not the best use of the concepts, but again, it's back to form. Love it lots, and so forth. And that's my number 4 and final honorable mention, way back here at number 11, Spider-Man Homecoming. And now the top 10 proper. Hitting number 10 is Wonder Woman. For you folks, Wonder Woman made a lot of money. It was a ton of classic stuff. Had a great concept. I think they were trying to get to a Captain America First Avenger concept, because instead of having her start in World War II like him, she'll start back in World War I. She's learning about the war areas, all that sort of stuff. Love it lots. I love her relationship with Steve Trevor too, and such. I think they have a great chemistry together on set. Love him lots, and his concept. I like what they did with him too, his acting, and so forth too. But the main issue here, again, no spoilers, is the ending just doesn't feel like it suited the movie. It didn't feel like an extension. I think you could have rewritten that and had a much better. Now it still made money in the theaters. It's a great film. Love it lots. Patty Jenkins really did a great job, but it's just it doesn't feel like it did the movie that it had written justice, right? And so for those reasons, it's sitting back here at the 10th spot. And then number 9 is X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class is a sort of a pseudo-reboot prequel set in the early 60s in the Cold War era, and they're trying to do the Cuban Missile Crisis justice and so forth at that time, and it's included too. And then basically it's a setup and prequel to the X-Men films. After X-Men 3 was a huge disappointment critically, and because it didn't make, and that's why it didn't make my last miss, even though the first 2 did high. And that's for those reasons. I just don't feel like this is a return to form for the franchise. I don't feel like the next 2 Wolverine films, Wolverine Origins or the Wolverine, really sort of respected that concept. Although I think the Wolverine's much better. I think it's actually not that bad. It's not making my list though. Sorry about that, Wolverine veins, but you get the idea. What's happening here? Love it lots. I think that the concepts is great here, and so forth. And again, back to form. Love it lots. And so that's X-Men First Class for you folks. And number 8 is Avengers Infinity War. This is, again, no spoilers, but I love what they're doing here. I love the concepts. I love that they made this the Thanos movie rather than the Avengers film. I love his concepts. I love his character development. I love his background story. I love what you see from him too. Love it lots. I think it's an absolute classic of classics and so forth. And it really set up a lot of great stuff for the future. I love the ending too. I think the ending, again, no spoilers, is an absolute classic of classics. Love it lots. And so that's number 8, Avengers Infinity War. Number 7 is Captain America this is Captain America the Winter Soldier. Sorry for you folks. That's a number 7 for you folks. And so this is a great classic in my mind. Love it a whole lot for you folks. And this is an absolute strong film because it creates a concept. It takes all that it had built up and on screen, and the characters, and it flips them and destroys them. And I love that lots. It basically says, nope, we're going to change the world. And so it's more of a political drama and a thriller rather than a superhero film. Love what they do with it. Love the concepts. I think this is an absolute classic to my mind. That's Captain America, the Winter Soldier. All right. Now the next film, because you can just tell, because I just titled it, was Captain America: Civil War. For you folks, Captain America: Civil War, absolute classic of classics for you folks. Love it lots. I think it's a very, very strong film from this era. This is, again, it sort of push the dominoes. I think the concepts, how they write this, how they create this, the personal stakes that are at play. This is not just hey, I think you're wrong. I think I'm right. Hey, I think I'm right. I think you're wrong. It's a collision early on, but it changes the personal stakes later. Love that so much. I think it's a very strong film for that reasons. and such. Love it lots. And that is Captain America Civil War for you folks. Now, the next film is Logan from folks. I think Logan absolutely nails the character of Logan. It's X-rated. Don't watch it unless you're an adult. And so forth, but I think that Logan's an absolute classic that ends his concept, his characters, and his saga very nicely, and so forth. Love it lots. That's Logan. All right, now the top 5. Number 5, and this will be the highest hitting X-Men film, or from that era, is X-Men Days of Future Past for you folks. It's a sequel to First Class that heralded earlier. This, I think, really nails the concepts, really delivers well. And then unfortunately Apocalypse would happen. Sorry. I think everything from the Quicksilver scene to other things, and because of how great it was, I think a lot of people were like, hey, let's do another film. And then let's make it not great. And they try to have call-outs and shout-outs to this film. I just don't think that worked very well. But this is an absolute classic. The classic number 5, X-Men Days of Future Past. Number 4 is Avengers Endgame. For you folks, this is the highest hitting Avengers film, and this is the highest hitting team film too. I think you can definitely see why if you've seen it. Love it lots. Again, no spoilers, but what happens, it has to be set up and so forth. I think it's an absolutely strong event film that ends the saga, if you will, in a great way. For the first few chapters, love it lots. Again, no spoilers, please, no spoilers. But it's good stuff. I think if you've seen it, you can probably see why it's my highest rated team film. And then the number 3 are all solo films. Number 3 is Dredd. Dredd is a 2000, I think it's 12 rated R film of the 2000 AD Judge Dredd comics. It's rated R. Don't see it unless you are. It's more of a day in the life of him rather than an epic story. Love that lots. He's going to be recruiting and training and observing a brand new academy graduate who's just out, Judge Anderson. But the problem is that Judge Anderson didn't actually this brand new potential judge really didn't pass her. She just came a couple of points below what you need to pass, but because of her strong Esper rating, she is passing through. They want to have a field evaluation by Judge Dredd. They think he'll be fair. So this is both a day in the life of a Judge Dredd, but then also he's having this lady with him too. I think that absolutely works so well. Their chemistry as co-workers and trainees and an observer and an observed and that sort of thing. I think it works just absolutely magnificently well. No, it's not about anything. It's just a fun little film. But I think you'll like it too. If you haven't seen it, Dredd, see it. Now, it is rated R. It's got hard violence. So if you're against violence, if you're against that, so forth, right, and if you're not an adult, don't see it, right? But Dredd is such a classic film. To my mind, I wish it had made money because it's an absolutely strong film. All right, now the top 2 films. Number 2 film is Thor Ragnarok by Taika Waititi, and so forth. This really put, I think, Thor back on the map in a major way that the first 2 films weren't really about, and so forth. It's an absolute classic. Again, it's kind of like Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't take its concept too seriously, and so forth. It really pushes itself. And so forth. But I really love what they do with the characters, the concepts, the colors, and such. It's a fun film. And if what you want in your film is a fun film, that's really not about it or anything. It's just a fun concept. And take the next Thor right now. It's my second favorite film from this era, and my second favorite film from this. From the MCU, right, and so forth. But I think you'll see why my number 1 film is my number 1 film, and so forth. But I think it's an absolute classic. Saw it in theaters, loved it lots. You should see it in theaters too if you haven't seen it there. And number 1, I did see it in theaters on release day. I scheduled this about 3 weeks ahead of time because a lot of the people nearby were sold out. And that is Black Panther. For you folks, absolutely loved the Afrofuturistic take on the Black Panthers and concepts in the MCU too, by Ryan Coogler. I think that the Killmonger, the bad guy here, is an absolute tour de force. Love his concepts, love his character, love his development, love how he actually changes things. Love it lots. and so forth. Again, no spoilers, but I love the endings and so forth too. I think it's an absolute classic of classics. Love them lots. So that's Black Panther for you folks. By Ryan Coogler. I think Michael Jordan just does an absolute tour de force as the thing. I think I'd seen Creed, so I think that this is just an absolute tour de force, and so forth. Love it lots. I think it will stand the test of time as a strong superhero film, and unlike the previous two, it actually has something to say. So I like. Love it lots. All right. So once again, here I hope you enjoyed that. See here, my top 10. My top deep 10, because I got like 1,000 honorable mentions in here. They are honorable mention, The Dark Knight Rises, honorable mention, Guardians of the Galaxy, honorable mention, The Avengers, honorable mention, Spider-Man Homecoming, honorable mention, and then X-Men First Class, Wonder Woman, then X-Men First Class, then Avengers Infinity War, then Captain America, The Winter Soldier, then Captain America Civil War, then Logan, then X-Men Days of Future Past, then Avengers Endgame, then Dread, then Thor Ragnarok, and finally Black Panther for you folks. Absolutely love them all. I think they're all great stuff for you folks. So have you seen them? If so, what would you think about them? Would you put them in this order? Would you disagree with my order? And so forth. If you do, just let me know what you think about it in the comments below, right? Your opinion is just as valid as mine is, right? And if you're a film critic, your opinion is more valid than mine is because you're trained in this stuff, right? I'm just a fan, right? And such. So my opinion is just as valid as everybody else's, right? So let me know what your thoughts are, and if you've seen these films and so forth, if you put them in this order. You agree with me that Dread is the third best film from this era? Have you seen it? And if not, if you see it, then let me know. And then would you agree or disagree with those other things too? And let me know those thoughts too. Let me know all of those things and such. And so there you are. As a reminder, this, like I said earlier, this channel is named The Worst Thing About New Books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And this is definitely some older stuff. In this case, we're watching it, but you get the idea. These are all classics that have heavily influenced our stuff. Now, these are more recent, right? But you get the idea and such. So if you like that and want to see more and come back to this for my last 5 years and so forth, I don't know if there is enough because of the pandemic cut a lot of these things. We'll see. I'll take a look and see. But then again, also the Crimson Ghost is tomorrow on Serial Saturday if you're interested in checking that out too. So there you are. Let your friends know and what to watch this video and so forth if they're superhero fans or just films and such fans too. And then also, if you like this video, subscribe to the video, hit the bell icon if you're really feeling frisky, be notified of my videos each week. And then finally, I want to thank you so very much, for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my videos, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. So I appreciate it so much. So thanks again and have an amazing day.